President Trump is now ordering a review of the Smithsonian museums, accusing the institutions of focusing too much on, quote, how bad slavery was. He made that comment in a social media post yesterday. The president says he will subject the museums to the exact same process his administration has conducted at universities, which have faced federal funding cuts over DEI and anti-Semitism concerns. Trump's comments come 1 week after his administration told the museums they would be required to adjust any content the White House finds problematic in, quote, tone, historical framing, and alignment with American ideals ahead of the country's 250th anniversary next year. Earlier this year, NBC News found at least 32 artifacts once on display at the National Museum of African American History and Culture had been removed, including a book belonging to Harriet Tubman. White House officials said yesterday the president plans to extend his review of museums beyond the Washington-based institution, saying he will hold the Smithsonian accountable and, quote, then go from there. Where to begin, Reverend Sharpton? This is a whitewashing of history through the eyes of one man and one movement, telling a new story of our history as a country.
And what is so blatantly offensive about it is the inferences there was some good side to slavery. I mean, people were dehumanized, names taken, families broken up, made to labor with no wages. About 13 years ago, a reporter found my family roots, found out that my great-grandfather was a slave in Edgefield, South Carolina, owned by Alexander Sharpton. And it occurred to me, I'm named after my great-grandfather's slave master. Even my name is not my name. And on top of that, he was married to Anna Thurman, who was the cousin of Strom Thurmond. So you can't erase this. We're not talking about something that did not happen. How do you do American history without talking about that? Now, you can talk about how there were whites that fought as abolitionists and ended slavery. That's the good side.
That's in the museum.
Which is the emancipation. Yeah. But to act like to talk about slavery is bad is offensive and is also incorrect. And it's just as bad, and I've said this when blacks said they talk too much about the Holocaust. What happens, happens. We need to be honest about it, straight about it, and then talk about those that correct it.
Gene, we have a Holocaust museum that talks about the Holocaust. So why wouldn't we have a museum that talks about American slavery, which I think throughout, at least the last 50, 60 years, people on all sides of the political spectrum have seen as the great original sin of American history.
He's not white.
Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Welcome back to On the Shoulders of Giants. I am Joseph Ward, and we're here breaking down this thing that's going on right now with this so-called erasure of history. And I'll tell you why I frame it like that. We're going to get into what Donald Trump got going on with the Smithsonian Museum. We're going to talk about Jillian Michaels' response to that. But then we're also going to have some fun. We're going to get into a clip that went viral from the racist or the supposed suspected white supremacist Nick Fuentes, when he called himself checking black people. Nick Fuentes has called himself telling us what we need to be doing and putting us in our place, because you know how we get down as black people. We got problems. We vagrants and stuff, and we criminals and stuff as black people, So we're gonna get into all of that, right? An erasure of history. That's what it's being framed as, an erasure of history. Now, you all already know, if you've been tuning into this channel, you already know how I get down and what I think about it. It is our job to find, teach, and preserve our history. I'm gonna say it again. It is our job to find, learn, teach, and preserve our history. And if we're leaving it up to other people to do that, they will control our history. They will continue to control what we learn and what we know about ourselves. Now, I'm somebody who has visited the Smithsonian Museum, so I will get into my experience visiting the Smithsonian Museum and what I thought about it and how that goes into this, but also how this erasure of history also goes into the Nick Fuentes clip, because if I can erase your history, then I can control your narrative. If I can give you a history, then I can control your narrative. I create your narrative. Therefore, you are who I say you are. And please tune in to my book reading tomorrow, because it goes well into this. Frantz Fanon talking about the white gaze, right? That white gaze, being able to see things through the specific lens that benefits white America, that benefits white supremacists. But also, this is not just about the erasure of history. This is also a backlash against the left. This is white people fighting white people, and black people and black history is the collateral damage that has been caught within that. I'm gonna say it again, and as I go through my clips, you're going to see why I come to that conclusion, that ultimately this is a backlash. This is a right backlash against the left, because there's an idea that this has been influenced, that the history has been influenced by the woke movement from the left. So white people fighting white people, and black people are the collateral damage that is caught within that. Black people and black history is the collateral damage, getting into that, right? And so Donald Trump visited the Smithsonian Museum, I believe in 2017, and he had a different view of the museum, and that was before this woke movement. So after this woke movement, now Donald Trump has a different view of the museum itself, and not because of the museum, but because of the I guess you could say proximity, and I guess you can say the influence of the left in the museum, right? So this is what we're getting into. Also, how it ties into what Nick Fuentes is saying about black people, the negative characteristics and the negative narrative that he is spewing about black Americans. Because once again, if I can take your history and shape your history, I control your narrative. I control your narrative. So make sure y'all hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share. Welcome. Happy Sunday. Welcome. We in here. Let's get it. First, I want to give a shout out to everybody who's in here. One time for Battle Genja for showing up, my brother. Top of the morning, JW, and welcome back, everyone. Great to read you again. Nemesis X and the rest of the Chain Gang Dragon, though that broke loose. You know what I'm talking about? Shout out to you too, my brother. I appreciate you as always for tuning in. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe, share, comment. I want to hear what you think about this, right? Because remember, this is for all of us to continue to learn. I don't know everything. I just got the show. I got the channel. I like to talk. I can put this together, right? But I'm learning from you all as well. This is what I mean when I say white people are the deciders of everything. This is the supremacy part people don't get. It is not the philosophical belief most blacks think about. Excellent point. Excellent point to start off. Excellent point. That's how we get. Yeah, that's how we get started, right? Because when we talk about power and white supremacy, a lot of people don't like that word, white supremacy. A lot of people don't like to hear the terms white supremacy, white domination, because as Battle Genja said, they think about it in philosophical terms, or they think about it in like biological terms, where white people are not superior to us, where we are literally under a system of white supremacy. If white people are not the dominant force on this earth, why are we in America speaking English right now? Why are we trying so hard to assimilate into white culture right now? Why is the world shaped the way it is right now? The world that we live in, this modern world, has literally been shaped by white supremacy. And you can't say it hasn't, right? So great point, great point. Says, yes, I've been very interested about your experience at the mall. I mean, I'm gonna tell you about my experience at the museum. I'm gonna tell you, we got to get into it. We're gonna get into it. So let's let Jillian Michaels embarrass herself. I'm gonna let it play, and then we're gonna come back and break it down, and then we're gonna get further into this museum thing and kind of have some real critical thinking about it, right? Because the thing is, we don't want to be emotional about what Donald Trump is doing. And remember, this has been going on for a couple months, so I'm talking about it now because of the relevance that it has with a lot of the narratives that is coming out simultaneously with the erasure of history, right? Once again, erase the history while controlling the narrative. So that's how we do it, man. That's how we do it. Ricardo, peace to you, brother. Peace to you. I'm glad you caught me. And you know what? I'm thinking about moving this live show to Sundays too. I'm really thinking about moving it to Sundays. I think this may be a more convenient day for me to make sure it's consistent live on the Sunday. So I'm thinking about that. Y'all let me know what y'all thinking about that. Moving this live show to Sundays, maybe 11, maybe 1 on Sunday. So, but I want to make sure that I'm at a time where all y'all can catch me. So peace to you. Shout out, Ricardo. Thank you for joining us. But let's let Jillian Michaels. Remember, Jillian Michaels is the fitness lady. But in a system of white supremacy, because I am white and I have an opinion, my opinion is valid and my opinion has to be considered, and it's damn sure better than yours because you black, you a Negro. I am white. White is right, black is wrong. You got to understand that. So let's let Jillian be stupid real quick.
The great original sin of American history.
He's not whitewashing slavery. So he's not? He's not. No, okay. He's not. And you cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race, which is pretty much what every single exhibit does. But let's talk about the fact that when you
anti-slavery,
let's talk about the fact
that slavery in America was.
Do you realize that only less than 2% of white Americans owned slaves?
But it was a system of white supremacy.
You realize that slavery is thousands of years old?
White people were
Do you know
the slave
who
owners.
was the first race to try to end slavery? Well, what's controversial?
I'm very surprised.
This is an extraordinary exercise in historical revisionism.
I'm really surprised.
Revisionism. Do you realize that?
Jillian, I'm surprised that you're trying to litigate who was the beneficiary of slavery and who was not.
What I'm trying to tell you is that
in the context of American history.
Okay.
In the context of American history, what are you saying is incorrect by saying that it was white people oppressing black people?
Every single thing is like, oh, no, this is all because white people bad. And it's totally partisan.
We don't, first of all, we don't have time to litigate all of this.
Of course we don't, because then you're going to lose the argument. And everything is racialized, just like you're trying to do to me now.
Excuse me?
So we're going to run it back a bit so we can kind of break down what she's saying. Because we want to really digest what she's saying. And not because she's important or anything, but remember, reshaping narratives. It's about the reshaping of the narratives. It's about reminding the Negro, reminding black people who we are, and making American history seem greater than what it was. Your history isn't the history that you say it is, black people. Your history is what we say it is. And you all are lazy. You all are shiftless. You all have no drive. If it wasn't for, their idea is, if it wasn't for us, the white man, you wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for us, the white man, saving you from yourselves and from your jungles, you wouldn't be here, right? So that's the idea of it, right? So reshaping these narratives. Hey, white supremacy isn't the reason why Black America is where it is. Black America is where it is because black people don't want to do better. That's what they're getting into. It says, I presented some data. English is the #1 spoken language globally, followed by Spanish and Mandarin Chinese for commerce, or uses Latin. English is the #1 language of commerce. White supremacy. That's another right there, log in the fire to show that white supremacy is a global system of domination, right? Please, Trump ain't doing nothing because he gaff about the money facts. Nope, it's the historical protocol, #1 behind global gender agenda, following by some very powerful. Well, if I'm calculating, if I'm reading what you're saying right, it's the right against the left, because that's what I'm thinking. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's nothing. He all gaff about the money facts. Nope, it's the historical protocol behind the global gender agenda. So yeah, blacks against the whites. I mean, the left against the right. That's what I mean. Left against the right. The conservatives against the liberals, and black history and black people are the collateral damage. Oh, mixed in with some, or should I say, a lot of fairy. I think one of the biggest, I guess you could say, the biggest illusions that they have us is that they're actually really against each other. At the end of the day, when we know the bird has two wings. Granddaddy, you all, to be honest, I didn't remember who Jillian Michaels was until I looked up after this. Man, look, I forgot about that white lady, to be honest. I forgot about Jillian Michaels, but she out here running her mouth on some dumb stuff. But once again, it's not necessarily about the attack on black history itself. It's an attack on the left. It's an attack on the woke. And the black history is intertwined with the woke. That's why Dr. Claude Anderson was adamant about us not mixing our struggle with anybody else's struggle. That's why Malcolm was adamant about us not mixing our struggle with anybody else's struggle. That's why I'm not going to say all, but that's why there were a number of our leaders who were adamant about black people not mixing the black struggle with everybody else's struggle. Because when you mix the black struggle with everybody else's struggle, everything gets washed in. And when it falls, it falls. And also, everybody else's struggle always seems to outshine, overshadow, and receive the benefits of the black struggle. It's like the black struggle is used for the experiment, and then the white people get to benefit off of the experiment. The body language on the planet, the baby language on the planet. Yeah. English, right? The white man's language. People forget that the left historically was the conservatives of the day, owned the most slaves, etc. White people take all sides of the arguments to assure. Exactly. That's my overall thing for this is we have to remember that we are the collateral damage in this. We are the collateral damage in this. This is not necessarily our fight, but we're being brought into it on an emotional level, on a realistic level, on an economic level, on a militaristic level, on just a regular human level. We have control over our history. Like, we have control over what we learn. But the problem is the mindset of a people who, I want you to tell me the truth about me. And because you don't want to tell me the truth about me, I have a problem. And that's crazy. Even deeper, if you not aware, U.S. deliberately and cleverly did two things in the 60s, which started erasing black history, integration, and interracial marriages, only the chosen. Yep. Right. But once again, that's why we have to be the keepers of our history. It's idiotic to expect your oppressors of anybody to be the ones to conserve your history and even conserve it properly. Look at how black history is caught in the middle of a war between white people against white people. Hey, we're woke over here. And over here, we don't like this war. And remember, the term woke has been bastardized and whitewashed. Anyway, when I was a college student in early I remember 2003. I was at FAMU in 2003. The term woke only meant black people who were conscious, who came into consciousness about our history, our plight. That was what woke meant. Woke meant you were a black person who came into consciousness. You're a black, specifically a black person in America who became conscious about your history and your plight. That's what woke was in 2003. And I was a freshman, sophomore at FAMU at that time. That's what woke meant. Now, woke is being, I guess, liberal and left. And everything that the white left says it is. It's been co-opted. Now we are in the middle of that. But we're supposed to be controlling our own history. Yep. They even took the turn woke from us to, yep. Right on point. And by doing so, even paid off them reparations and stopped the revolution. Gil Scott-Heron. Hey, man. Remember, the revolution starts in the mind. And if the revolution starts in the mind of a people who are mindless, who engage in mindless behavior, there will be no real revolution. There will be no real preservation of history. I don't give a damn about no museum. So you mean to tell me if they strip this museum of the artifacts and the historical information about slavery, that means we can't learn about slavery at all? This is the only way we can learn about slavery is through this Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. I know this is not the only way because we knew about slavery before this museum was built. I know I did. I know y'all did too. The sins of slavery can never be covered because they're too long, too vast, and too bloody. Even the earth will cough up a body if the soul isn't rested. Universal law. It ain't going nowhere, man. It ain't going nowhere. We understand what happened to us, but remember, we have to be our own historians and preserve our own stuff. And this is why we have to support those who are actually really doing tangible stuff in our community instead of people who just talking and making us feel good. It's partly our fault that we caught up in this war of right against left. It's partly our fault because, once again, it's always somebody else's job to do what we're supposed to be doing for ourselves, which is a problem, right? Why we added one more by introducing and aggressively pushing the global gender movement over the past 20 to 40 years into the black communities that erased a lot of black. Yep. And that's what happened when black people started tying our struggle with their struggle. Because they've had oppressions too. They were degraded too. They were subjugated too. So we should be friends with them. It's not how that go. We should have enough history and enough information to understand that when you tie your struggle to somebody else's struggle, you will always get the crumbs off the table. Those people never were about true black liberation. They were about advancing their cause and using us as a springboard to advance their causes. Nemesis, man, what's up, my brother? How you doing? Welcome. As always, appreciate how you doing. One of the OGs of the chat of the channel, man. I appreciate you. A history without cultural stewardship is just another version of history. You already know it. That's why we crying. They're taking our history away from the museums. Well, I mean, it's their museum. If you really want, we really keeping it 100. We really being 100. It's their museum. It's their museum. They used us to stock it. It's their museum. They had full control of it from the beginning. How about we build our own? That's what I say about that, right? Many black people are more familiar with all them pronouns and things related to it than they're her with the Ma'afa facts, and so many could even care less about the Google Moore's Ford lynching. Black people don't care about nothing right now. It's sad to say black people don't care about nothing, but anything that makes us feel good, anything that makes us escape our own misery, is the only thing we feel good about. Boundless, I appreciate you. Dr. Henry Clark, rest in peace, goods. Right. We have our historians. We have our history. We know our history. Someone like me and others like us, it's our job to preserve the history and keep passing it down. That's why I'm not going to stop talking about this history. There you go, Ricardo. Y'all see it. Y'all see what Ricardo's saying. You see it. We are the museum. We are. It's our job to preserve that, not some left-leaning losers who don't have our best interests anyway. We might have to invest in our own land. Right. Make it work. If we don't do it, nobody else will. But let's go ahead and let's have some fun getting on Jillian Michaels.
Throughout, at least the last 50, 60 years, people, American history.
He's not whitewashing slavery. So he's not? He's not. No, okay. He's not. And you cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race.
Yes, the hell you can. Yes, you can. We can tie modern imperialism, modern racism to one race. Who the hell created race? Skeletor. She looked like Skeletor in the face. Who created racism? Who created the concept of race and racism, Skeletor? White people. It's a system of white supremacy. It's not a system of multi-racial supremacy. There's no other racial group on this planet who has the dominance of white supremacy. Skeletor, maybe all them protein shakes that went to your head. Maybe a little, well, I ain't alleged. Well, you know, white, you know, you crazy. But remember, she a workout lady. But her job, remember, her job is not to necessarily know what she's talking about. Her job is to cause confusion. You can erase Black history. It should be etched in your heart in stone. And plus, some of the books need to be curated anyway, made more intricate and put on website. Yeah. Hey, speaking of that, go to the PAX website. Go to the PAX.org, thepax.org. Patrick has curated a lot of information and a lot of books on the PAX.org website. These museums should have websites anywhere with their curated information for these museums. Need a curator. You guys need to find a Black American curator. Hey, well, we don't need to curate the stuff in their museums. We need to have it in our own museums. That's the key. That's the key. Our own stuff. Skeletor looking lady. The etymology of the word slave, the geographic region of the phenomenon before they took the show on. Yeah, I'm just saying, Slavics. The Slavics. I'm just saying, but hey. But let's let Jillian keep on talking her bull, and we're gonna break it down even further. Skeletor in the face, lady.
Which is pretty much what every single exhibit does. But let's talk about the fact
that's not true. So I've literally been to the museum. Every exhibit in the museum does not do that. There's a specific floor that is dedicated to the slave trade. There's a specific floor. I think it's 3 or 4 stories. It's 3 or 4 stories, and there's one floor that is dedicated to that. The rest of the floors are dedicated to the stuff that white people like. So she's over exaggerating, and anybody who's been to the museum understands that. So yeah, when you stupid though, but remember, she's being stupid on purpose though.
When you
let's
talk about the fact.
Slavery in America was.
Do you realize that only less than 2% of white Americans own slaves?
Yeah, okay, whatever. Like less than 2% of white Americans own slave, whatever. So let's just grant that as truth, right? Let's just grant that as truth, even though we know it's not true. Let's just grant that as truth. So how could 2% of white people own slaves and a system of slavery still exists? A system of white supremacy still exists. How could that happen? Maybe there's a culture of white supremacy, a culture of racism, a culture of enslavement. It's been legalized. Slavery was legalized, white lady. It was legalized, white girl. Legalized. But let's just grant her argument, even though we know more than 2% of white people own slaves. Let's just grant her argument that 2% of white people own slaves. So why does racism and white supremacy still exist at the magnitude that it exists today? Why? I tell you why. Because there was a whole system in place then. It had to be a system to support. So only 2% own slaves, but look at the impact that it had on all of America from 2% of the population. 2% of the population had that greater impact on 98% of the population. So that 2% had to be mighty, mighty powerful then. They must have had some mighty powerful resources. But we all know it was more than 2% of the people who owned slaves, more than 2% of white people, right? And she gonna say some other bullshit.
It was a system of white supremacy.
You realize that slavery is thousands of years old?
You realize that slavery is thousands of years old, but chattel slavery isn't. Chattel slavery isn't thousands of years old. Jillian Michaels, did you know that? Chattel slavery. And I'm saying like I'm saying so we can make sure that we understand our history, right? Not to try to prove her wrong. Because once again, this is deliberate ignorance. Deliberate ignorance. Because I saw a clip, and I don't know how true it was, but the lady Abby Phillip, and we're gonna hear more from Abby Phillip a little later. But Abby Phillip, well, I saw a video earlier, or yesterday, of a lady saying Abby Phillip. She alleged that Abby Phillip overheard Jillian Michaels said that she was giving those talking points, you know. But yes, indentured servitude is thousands of years old. People enslave other people for maybe war, maybe a prisoner of war, maybe you owed a debt, maybe you committed a crime, so you were indentured to a group of people for a small amount of time, and then you were granted your freedom, and even in that indentured servitude, you were still granted your full humanity. And when you came out of the servitude, depending on the house that you was enslaved in, you could become the ruler of that house. That is what indentured servitude was. Now we're talking about chattel slavery, where your total humanity was stripped. Chattel slavery started in the 1600s. Unfortunately, the first person to engage in chattel slavery was Anthony Johnson, the black man, and started from there where chattel slavery became legal in the United States of America. But yeah, slavery is their culture, not ours. Indentured servants is ours, maybe. It's almost as though they're changing the script. No, they are changing the script. Look, there's no secret that indentured servitude existed on the African continent. African people are humans as well. African people didn't always do great things. Let's not act like African history is all sunshine and roses, because African history, and I'm talking about pre-colonial history, isn't all sunshine and roses as far as how African people interacted with each other. But the way we interacted with each other is nothing. It compares nothing to how white people interacted with each other and interacted with the rest of the world, right? Because when white people, if Africa would have been left alone by the invaders, it would have thrived. She's not injured. She's malicious, right? She's not ignorant. She knows what she's doing. Exactly. She knows what she's doing. When I saw this, I never believed that she came in with the idea of, hey, white people ain't all bad. Slavery, she knows she's spreading lies. Like I said, I saw a video yesterday. I can't remember the video, but the young lady was implying that Abby Phillip overheard Jillian Michaels saying that somebody told her to say this. But we all know that she came in with the malicious intent. You're right. This is a false statistic via legal documents. I'll make a video on it soon. The inherent contracts, etc. These people confuse their own linguistics. And Battle Genja, drop a link to your YouTube channel in the comments so we can make sure that we support. Everybody can support what you got going on. Drop that link. Exactly. Amen. Amen. And Anthony Johnson was actually refuted as the first owner. All right. Send that. I'm all for learning something new. Put me on. But let's let Skeletor continue to lie.
Do you know who was the first race to try to end slavery? Well, what's controversial?
I'm very surprised.
This is an extraordinary exercise in historical revisionism.
I'm really surprised.
Do you realize that,
Jillian, I'm surprised that you're trying to litigate who was the beneficiary of slavery and who was not.
What I'm trying to tell you is that
in the context of American history, what are you saying is incorrect by saying that it was white people oppressing black people?
Every single thing is like, oh, no, this is all because white people bad.
I don't yes. White people bad, yes. Goddamn right. White people bad, yes. Wear it like a G. You want to be the masters of the earth. You want to be the dominators of the earth. Wear it like a G. But once again, we get the tactics. This is how the system of white supremacy refines itself. This is how the system of white supremacy has been able to last this long. I keep telling y'all, white women have been supporting white supremacy since the beginning. White women have been supporting it. They have been passing the culture down forever. Don't let white see one of the reasons why black people we caught up into this because we fell for the bull with white women, with the liberal white women who's supposed to be our friends. No, white women support the system of white supremacy. They're even more adamant about it than the white men because that is what butters their bread. Yeah, Battle again to drop that YouTube link ASAP. She adopted a black girl child. Please tell me more. Please tell us more about that. I'm saying that about Angie. No. Hey man, look, bruh. No, Noah, I don't feel no. Now I appreciate it. I don't feel no way about that. I don't feel no way about that, bruh. Cause hey, I want to make sure I'm spitting facts. So if you got something that can help me, please drop it, brother. Trust me, I don't feel no way about it. Trust me. But please drop your YouTube link. God is Yimmy, y'all. Welcome to the building, my lady. Welcome to the building. Welcome to the chat. We're going in on Skeletor face looking Julian Michaels as she in here lying on this line about slavery and lying about white supremacy, right? White folks don't need to be intelligent. They can afford to stay stupid. Shit. In the world of benign neglect, they built around themselves, right? Because when you in power, you can do that. When you are in power, you can do that. White women's top priority back in the days was neighborhood watch whenever black family moved. I don't think FBA voted for MAGA. I don't think that's correct. FBA, a lot of FBA I know said it out. If you have some data on that, please let me know. But from my understanding, FBA didn't vote for MAGA. They set it out. There's a lot of black conservatives. There are some black people who migrated from the left to the right, but I don't know of a lot of black FBA. I don't know any FBA who voted for MAGA. I know a lot of FBA was calling out the Democratic bull. I know over here was calling out the Democratic and the Republican bull, but I don't know. Let me know. I could be wrong. They the backbone of white supremacy. Yes, they have always been the backbone of white supremacy. Always been the back. I've been screaming that from the mountaintops. I remember when we did our Friday breakdown on Black Fatigue, and Pat came out talking about WWF, and WWF is white women fatigue. White women have been the bane of black people's existence from the beginning.
Totally partisan.
We don't. First of all, we don't have time to litigate all of this.
Of course we don't, because then you're going to lose the argument. And everything is racialized, just like you're trying to do to me now.
Excuse me.
And so even in that, and that was the last part of it, right? Everything is racialized, it's just like you're trying to do to me now. Well, you all created the concept of race. Y'all did. That's another one of the tricks of white supremacy. They create the concept of race. They instill and institute racism, and then wag their fingers and blame the victims of racism for continuing it. And when they send stupid ass people like Morgan Freeman out there, why don't you just stop talking about it? If you just stop talking about race, that'll go away. Well, stop talking about the dots in your face, Morgan. See if they go away, right? Because you know life don't work like that. Morgan Freeman is old enough to understand that life don't work like that, right? Systematic racism don't just go away because you stop talking about it. The system of white supremacy has to be totally replaced And if it's not replaced by anything, especially a system of justice, then what we talking about? Morgan Freeman, you too damn old to be that damn stupid. But we know that you being that on purpose. Hello, Morgan. Hello. Now, before I get into the next clip, I told y'all I'll tell you about my trip to the African History Museum up in the Smithsonian Museum up in DC. She adopted a Haitian girl. Man, they need to go get that Haitian girl. They need to go get that Haitian girl. Sarah, they need to go get that Haitian girl ASAP. My dad long ago taught me if you can't use their vote to celebrate your friends, use it to push. But remember, we use politics wrong anyway. We try to vote for change instead of making the politicians work for us. The politicians work for us. Man, y'all know Morgan Freeman. That's why they wanted to, man. Hello. Morgan Freeman of damn well. Damn well. You got to do something to get something. So I went to the Black History Museum last year, matter of fact. And I was very disappointed, to be honest, of my overall assessment of my experience. I was disappointed of how whitewashed and safe the museum was. A museum that was touted to be something that we should be proud of, a museum that we should respect, a museum that really illustrates and shows off our struggle, our history, and our culture. I thought it was very whitewashed. I thought it was very safe. Yes, they have the floor that talks about the slave experience, but it's so much more that could have been said. It's so much more that could have been showed. Like, they had exhibits up there that I'm thinking, why the hell is this in here? And then, remembering that, oh yeah, this is under a liberal regime right now. But the museum was built by the liberals. And they themselves don't want to face the truth of slavery. They'll smile in your face like, yeah, okay, these niggas talking about slavery again, yeah, slave, black power. But they thinking, I'm so tired of talking about this slavery stuff. So, man, come on, man. But as I was moving through the floors, just looking at the exhibits, I guess one of the ones that stood out to me, and I don't know why, but that shows the I guess you could say how the museum was missing a lot of stuff. Is it was an exhibit in Vogue. They were talking about like music history and stuff, and I just didn't understand like the emphasis on in Vogue. I didn't understand the emphasis on a lot of other stuff, and we celebrate the arts a little too much, in my opinion. And I understand the place that the arts have, and never to diminish the arts. But I think we need to start celebrating things that bring about tangible outcomes. And once again, when somebody else is telling your story, they're going to tell it in a way that makes them feel good. We don't celebrate real tangible outcomes like we're supposed to. Yeah, Morgan Freeman is definitely a sellout. That's why he got all them dots in his face. Yes, sir. So filtered through liberalism, right? You can never expect anything that is 100% right. Yep. Yeah, that museum, man, it was, I'm a history buff. I'm a real history person. Like, history was literally my favorite subject in school. So when I was in school, in history class, I'm full attention. In social study class, I'm full attention. Like, I remember like all that stuff. I used to love the stories and love reading it and love learning. So history is my thing. So I've been to Washington, D.C. 3 or 4 times. And, if you go to D.C. with me, we hitting them museums. You better bring your walking shoes because we hitting them museums, right? but it was underwhelming. It was very, 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 very underwhelming. I got a better Black history lesson at a local museum, smaller local museum here in Tallahassee than I thought I did at that Smithsonian Museum. And a lot of people keep telling me that the museums in Alabama are way better, so I got to go check them out as well. So they want us to disassociate like them and create false identities. So we eventually, there you go. But also they want us to forget the struggle. They want us to forget the fire. They want us to forget the thing that could keep us as in eternal opposition to them. That's why she's saying white people bad. Yes, white people bad. Yes, damn right. Damn right. White people bad. Facts. They make museums as symbols and to make money off our atrocities, but don't believe in reparations. Hey man, forget them, man. These white folk, wow. But once again, that's why on this channel I try to reiterate that the left and the right can go to hell. The left and the right can go to hell. I'm say it one more time like Umar. The left and the right can go to hell. Right? Because neither one of them have the best interest of Black America. And we are caught in the middle of this. Some of the artifacts in that museum of people, they may be. Anthony Johnson was not the first person to own chattel slaves in the colonies. He was one of the first documented cases. But John Punch, a Black man enslaved by a white man named Hugh Gwynn. Please email me that, brother. Please email me that on the shoulders1@gmail.com. Please email me that. I need to dig more deep into that. Appreciate that. You say it was underwhelming. So can you say what you expected to see? Yes, honestly. And as your earlier comment states, and I will admit, it's my fault. It's my fault because I expected to go in there and see truth. I didn't see what I expected to see. I expected to see more details on our struggle, but also real tangible progress, and I didn't see that. But that's my fault. That's my fault because I had to remember where I was and who put that museum together. And it wasn't a grassroots movement. It was a bourgeois movement. So yeah, that was my fault though. I call it out. That was on me. Some of the artifacts, right. I was the first man known to be perpetually enslaved, with the ruling in 1640 preceding Johnson's 1655 court case establishing his owner of John Caesar for life. All right. Jason, what's going on, my brother? We do for self collectively and build our own and educate ourselves and stop. We got to. If we don't, we gonna keep crying. Also goes to show you who funds them really, because you didn't do that with the Jews. But remember, these are groups of people we keep trying to align ourselves with because we're supposed to be friends with everybody who ain't really friends with us. You heard me? I can only speak for myself here, but I would never expect that much with anything that doesn't come from us. It's like expecting. Yeah, nah. I mean, you right, bro. You right. And it's something we need to stop doing. That's why I take full responsibility for it, because it's something we need to stop doing. We have to stop expecting our enemies to give us our true story. That was my fault. I was the one going in there stupid. I was the one going in there crazy, expecting them to teach us what we're supposed to know. Look at her face and the other one. Right. The angry, remember, hey, stay away from the angry white woman. We all know what comes from the angry white woman. We all know whole towns burn down when white women are angry. No tangibles, no vote. I couldn't agree with you more. The Democrats and the Republicans, they have no credit. The Democrats and Republicans can both kick rocks, pull their bottom lips over their head and swallow and jump off a cliff at the same time. We don't need you. If you're not going to do what I need you to do, get the hell on. The idea that Anthony Johnson was the first slave owner is historically false and has been used by right-wing activists to deny Black Americans' claim to reparations. Yeah, they do use the Anthony Johnson story to try to deny reparations. You are right about that. Nubian, what's up? Quit living 500 years ago. Get your people and yourself to Africa. or else you will be a slave. But remember, white supremacy is a global. Look at what's going on in Africa. Let's not act like everything is all good going on in Africa. White supremacy is a global system. Africa is in turmoil. Now, I wish that was the case, but you know, but peace to you as well, my brother. But I wish that's the case. But remember, white supremacy is a global system, and I don't believe that Black Americans going to Africa would be a solution to our problems, because the system of white supremacy is still in place. Global white supremacy is still in place. Africa is still in turmoil. So the system of white supremacy has to be defeated and replaced on a global scale. Has to be. But let's get more into this Trump thing and what he's trying to do to this museum.
Good evening. I'm Phillip in New York. Last week on this show, a guest shocked the table by arguing in part that slavery in America can't.
Traore hasn't broken that system totally. Traore has become a hiccup in the system, but he hasn't broken that system totally. The system of white supremacy is still intact over there in Africa. Traore is doing a good job, but it ain't broken totally.
Just be blamed on one race, and that museums put too much focus on the role of white people who participated in that terrible institution. And now tonight, that same argument is being pushed by the President of the United States. Donald Trump says that one of the reasons for his crackdown on Smithsonian museums is, quote, everything discussed is how bad slavery was. What we try to do on this program is create a platform for discussion and debate that reflects the very real differences that exist in this country. It's what echo chambers in our society fail to do, frankly. But on this topic, it's important to say objectively, slavery was indeed bad. It was evil, the nation's original sin. And it is impossible to understand the true history of this country without fully grappling with slavery's impact. Simply because of their birthplace and the color of their skin, the bodies and spirits of Black men, women, and children were exploited for profit and power. They were forced onto ships, bound by shackles and collars that ripped off their skin. One older man described it as iron entering our souls. Some chose to jump into the waters infested with sharks rather than feel that iron.
And see, if you're teaching Black people that, Black children that, and then you teach, and it depends on how that is taught, because it can be taught in a way to demoralize the children, or it can be taught in a way to empower the children and to put a battery in their back to go out and be better, and to unite collectivity for us to say, okay, this happened to us. They did this to us, but one of their main jobs was to separate us and make us ignorant. Think about that. To separate us and to make us ignorant. As long as we're separate and as long as we're ignorant, we will never be a threat, a real threat to the system of white supremacy, as long as we're separate and ignorant. But when we unite and we have knowledge, not just of self, but to know how to change our situation, now we're a threat to white supremacy. Now we're a threat to white supremacy. Now these white folk are afraid, really afraid, like Traore. Ibrahim Traore is a real threat to white supremacy. And that man has to be protected at all costs. You know how the internet like to talk about protecting Black folk? Forget all them other Black folk y'all talking about protecting. Traore has to be protected at all costs because he is a threat to the system of white supremacy. But who else is going to join in with him? Because it can't just be him. History has told us that it has to be a united global effort. It can't just be one person. As long as it's just one person, it's all concentrated. But the African diaspora has to rise. These diaspora wars have to stop. The the disrespect between each other. The tribalism has to stop. The Africans have to be better. The black people in South America have to be better. The black people in Central America have to be better. The black people in the United States have to be better. The black people in Canada have to be better. The black people in the Caribbean have to be better. The black people in the UK have to be better. The black people on the African continent have to be better. Global niggatry is at its finest right now. While they are erasing our story and replacing our story at the same time. That's where Julian Michaels comes in. That's where punk ass Nick Fuentes comes in. You know what I'm saying? They keep distorting these topics because they heed our people research and the efforts they've made what make the world pay attention. Now, if we don't hustle and get this tribalism, I'm just saying. The word empowerment used too much time passes, and even history may not be able to empower, but history is able to situate and let us know what we are. I mean, I do agree that it's used too much and it's used out of context. That's why I'm trying my best to make sure I use it in the context that says we're actually giving our people what we need to move forward, to have real tangible outcomes. You defeat the enemy with equal or greater firepower, and greater isn't always bigger. Well, we got to get that understanding. But let's let Abby Phillip go.
Now, once they arrived on this very soil, they were forced to work by way of the whip, despite being starved, sleep deprived, threatened, tortured, physically and psychologically. They were auctioned off, humiliated, fearful, and separated from their families and their children. Black women and girls were raped and sexually assaulted. Many were brutally murdered and mutilated. Now, this endured for decades, centuries, and even in the places where slavery was not legal, institutions from our banks to universities were built on enslaved labor in both the North and in the South. And for many of the white Americans who did not personally own slaves, they benefited from a caste system that concentrated wealth and political power in their hands. So, when we acknowledge the existence of Black people who operated George Washington's Mount Vernon or the Black hands that built the White House, we are acknowledging the existence, the perseverance, and the contributions of the souls that white supremacy sought to erase. Those people built families, they developed a culture, they were the keepers of the faith, cultivators of community. And they are the ones who deserve credit for forcing America to rid itself of the stain of slavery. Now, all of this information, these stories are from the Smithsonian's African American History Museum. And I share this not as a lecture for you, but as a lesson. America, the superpower, is largely possible only because of the superpowers of people who went lifetimes without the same rights of generations who were boosted from their backs. True.
Godzilla, Megatron, we're going to pray for you. Maybe not. I'm just shake my head at your comment. I'm just going to shake my head at your comment. Because I can't believe that you typed that out and hit send and you didn't read that over and think about that. You got to be trolling. You got to be true. You can't be serious. You can't be serious. But anyway, you're right, little bro. We have way too many puppets in power in Africa. They need to be replaced ASAP, then replaced. I'm just telling you, Traore needs help. Traore needs help, not just on the continent, but around the world. The African people, we got to get our head out of our ass, man. Hey, we need to stop falling for the all the Black people. I don't care where they come from in the diaspora. All the ones who throwing the fuel on the fire for these diaspora wars, ignore them, push them out the way, man. We got bigger fish to fry. We keep getting lost in the forest, man. We keep concentrating on stuff that ain't got nothing to do with our real objective. As long as we fight ourselves, we'll never fight the real enemy. Yeah, it's a damn troll. Slavery is forced assimilation. Mental enslavement goes to a whole nother thing. All right.
History should include everything. Yes, the evils and the horrors too. And museums are supposed to be places that protect those stories, the images, the lessons, the very things that inform so much of our current state of our republic, from racism to poverty. No matter how painful, or in the president's words, how horrible the lesson. Now, just listen to one formerly enslaved man describe what slavery is like in his own words.
You know what I'd rather do? If I thought that I'd ever be a slave again, I'd take a gun and just end it all right away. Because you're nothing but a dog. You're not a thing but a dog.
We are here in the studio with our panel, Leah Wright-Rigueur. I was actually surprised to see President Trump basically saying the quiet part out loud, that this review of the Smithsonian is not about even just something vague about reviewing history to make sure that it's fair. He wants to make it so that it talks less about slavery. What does that say to you?
Well, I think it's an effort. It's part of a larger effort to...
It just said, to me, it says a backlash towards the woke movement. That's what it says to me. But keep watching, keep listening.
Sanewash and whitewash American history, and essentially erase all of the parts and disappear all of the parts that make Americans, that make President Trump uncomfortable, that feel distasteful, that are a reflection of the actual real and horrific parts of our history. And I find it a little ironic. You know, earlier today, as I was listening to some of the commentary, my first thought was, wait a second. I wonder if the president has actually ever visited any of the Smithsonian museums. Yeah. And then I remembered that in 2017, he actually took a tour of the National Museum of African American History and Culture.
Let me just play, actually, what he said during that tour.
Now listen.
Listen to this.
I had the privilege of visiting the National Museum of African American History and Culture right here in Washington, D.C. It's a new, beautiful Smithsonian museum that serves as a shining example of African Americans' incredible contributions to our culture, our society, and our history. It also tells of the great struggle for freedom and equality that prevailed against the sins of slavery and the injustice of discrimination. The work and love of the people who helped create such a masterpiece is a testament to the legacy of so many leaders it honors.
Being forced to be an American citizen is not a benefit from slavery. Being forced to be in America is not a benefit from slavery. How is that an argument? How is that being debated, Tim? Being forced to be a citizen somewhere is not a benefit from slavery. Maybe you think it is, but it ain't. Now, what changed with Donald Trump? What changed? Well, first of all, he didn't believe that stuff he was talking in the first place. He didn't believe that. Donald Trump did not believe what he said about that museum then. You can see he was reading off a teleprompter. But at the same time, he didn't really have any smoke for the museum at the time. Why? Because there was no real woke movement going the way it's going at the time, right? So what changed was, or what happened was, remember this whole woke movement happening, this whole left. So there's backlash towards the left, right? What changed? Now, his script writer, but also it is, we see this with this new woke movement as a threat to this MAGA stuff. Because the woke is the antithesis to the MAGA. And the woke, since the woke has been hijacked by the left, by the white left, it has been, it's the antithesis, it's their opposition to each other. So here we are caught in the middle. So since the woke support this, we caught in the middle of it. European enslavement was the only system that tried to take our humanity from us. We were treated less human, but as property, like, just saying. They talking about what he said. Ex-slaves had the opinion to leave Liberia or the Dominican Republic. All right. Hey man, whatever. We're gonna agree to disagree. It is important that we tend to our grandparents, allow them to share what they've witnessed and what their parents and grandparents shared with them. Tangibility is limited, right? We got the stories, we got the information. So before our elders, you're right though, before our elders die, before more elders die, make sure you get the information. I just fell out laughing when you said Morgan Freeman. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Every time he sell out, he get a new dot in his face. So that's how it happened. He ain't had them dots back in the day, but you know, he got them dots now because he's selling out dots. How are the FBA most affluent African group in the world? What Tim, man, you arguing with yourself, man. I said what I said. I stand on what I said. You want to keep going back and forth. Hey, man, it's funny to you. I hope so. Cool.
So was it that he didn't believe what he read from the teleprompter as he recorded that video, or what?
You know, I'm really struggling to understand.
Hell no, he didn't believe it. And if you believe he believed that, you stupid.
In a lot of ways, particularly given that the tour that he took with director Lonnie Bunch was actually a reflection of really the mastery that and really the care and the patience that historians, that scholars, that curators put into the Museum of African American History and Culture. It is not just about the horrors of slavery, although it tells that very important story. It actually follows this really brilliant model where you move through the museum and it tells the story not just of enslaved Americans in America, but also of the resilience, of the triumph. And in doing so, it tells a story that is very much about democracy and about a quest for democracy and the way that Americans both built this country, but also the story and the narrative of like a truly American experience. And so for the president, I think, to just simply erase that and push that away tells it, particularly after praising it.
But even that, what she just said, that statement, the mindset behind that statement, that if history about slavery is removed from the Smithsonian Museum, then we're incapable of learning about slavery. That's a real defeated mindset. That's a real assimilated mindset. That's a real dependent mindset. So basically you're saying that is the only way that we can learn about slavery. That's the only way we can learn about our history. That's the only way. So because Lord knows we knew nothing about slavery and history before that museum was built. I wonder how they got the information to put in that museum. Like, come on, lady. But this is the problem with these bourgeois Negroes, these left-leaning Negroes, people who are not of true grassroots. They are docile Negroes. They are beat down Negroes. Look at her mindset. Lady, you're not speaking for us. You're speaking for you, lady. You speak for yourself, not us. Yes, she sounds like such an assimilated Negro. Has anyone ever heard about the Civil War? And Ronald Trump is the hybrid monster from the Reagan era to now. The fury from being of a loser immigrant family, wrecking as much before he dies, demonstrated. Hey, but Black people, we have to learn how to concentrate on what we got going on, build what we supposed to be building, making sure we got our stuff together, and we ain't doing that. Hey, Godzilla and Tim, man, I appreciate the comments that y'all keep commenting. So y'all keep commenting, but it's okay for us to agree to disagree, but it seems like y'all but we're agreeing to disagree. It's all good. You can keep commenting, please. It's gonna help the algorithm. So, but yeah.
a few years ago, tells us that this is part of a much larger agenda. This is part of a much larger agenda to erase things that really, I think the country is just refuses to deal with and is really uncomfortable with.
So you telling me you are surprised that a country built on racism refuses to deal with racism, refuses to deal with what it has done, refuses to deal with its chaotic past, with its terroristic past, with its eugenic past? I'm just saying. I have to admit, I'm mostly sensible when approaching these topics with the ignorance. Sometimes my passion supersedes that. Yeah, I know, right? And I've been working on it too. I've been working on it too, to not let my passion, override. It says, in my opinion, the museum is for non-blacks to learn about. And I actually don't disagree with that. To be honest, just because thinking about my time in the museum, Godzilla, thinking about my time in the museum, I actually don't refute that. I really don't refute that, to be honest. I actually agree with you on that. So, yeah.
I mean, he said as much by ending this post with, "This country cannot be woke because woke is broke." He says, "We have to have the hottest country in the world, and we want people to talk about it, including our museums."
Woke is broke. Woke is broke, and we can't have that in our museums. It's backlash against the left. Black people got caught up into it. Be careful who you tie your struggle to. Be careful who you align yourself with, especially undercover racists, because they leave you out to dry. I wouldn't be surprised if this was something that was orchestrated by both the right and the left to make sure that Black history does get erased from those museums, from those public spaces, because they know that most Black people are too lazy to make sure that we preserve and curate and have our history on display for ourselves. So Republicans, Republicans do have a more of a do for self mentality than the Democrats. I will give you that. Yeah. See, Godzilla, if we agree. It's okay to disagree, though. It's okay to disagree, Godzilla and Tim. It's okay to disagree on things. It's nothing malicious. It's okay to disagree. But let's just make sure it's not, and I'm not saying neither one of you were, but let's just make sure it's not emotional on either side, because I know I can get like that too. But it's okay to disagree. We won't have to agree on everything. It's all right. But we play this a little more, then we're gonna get into this Nick Fuentes.
Why is he equating talking about slavery with woke?
What you mean?
Look, I think, let me just start this conversation by saying that my personal view is slavery was.
Why she acting like she don't know why slavery is being equated with woke? That's what happens when white people hijack your damn movement, Abby. You be around these, Abby, come on, man. You be around these left-leaning, woke, black, white folk all the time. You know, come on, man, you know what it is.
A reprehensible institution. I agree with your words that it was our original sin. We also fought a war to eradicate it and to get over it as a country. And that was a necessary thing that happened, and a lot of people died, and we did eradicate it, and that's a good thing. I think what he's asking is, in our museums, what defines us? Are we going to be defined by the worst moment or the worst institution or the worst mistake we ever made? Or are we going to be defined by what we've done?
Well, I like how when we're talking about defining ourselves and being defined by our history and our past, we like to take out things that are unflattering. We like to take out things that exposes the bad side. Because nobody ever removes the good things from their story. Nobody ever removes the good from their story. Hey man, well, hey, I played high school football and I scored 1,000 touchdowns. But I'm not gonna talk about that. Nobody ever removes anything good from their history. Nobody ever has a problem being defined by the good things that happen to them. But when it comes to the bad parts of the story, people don't want to be defined by that. Nah, white boy, you being defined. America is being defined by the good and the bad. America was founded upon white supremacy, racism, and slavery. Hell, you talking about? We not forgetting it. And we're not forgetting it to the point where we stay stuck on history because we romanticizing our history so much that we can't do nothing with it. But we need to understand what happened so we can understand where we're going. All right? Exactly. It's about the maintenance of white supremacy. Well, yeah, sort of. I think I disagree a bit because woke was associated with blacks, but now I do think woke is still associated with black, but now I don't even know what it's totally associated with more. But I do get what you're saying. Like, it is associated with black. It is coded for black. But I think in the larger sense, I don't even know what woke really is a cold word associated for anymore anyway, to be honest. But I could be wrong too. I could be wrong. Remember that politics is not about black culture. It actually goes deeper than European culture. Every martial arts class that was linked to church programs got stripped of its historical use and reduced to romanticism. They want to make slavery right. Oh, yep. We know how that go. To my Dr. Seuss say. Dems allow dog whistles to become policy with CRT. Some of the yep. Democrats ain't nothing. Democrats can go to hell too. Democrats are the Democrats are the Klan members that still got their hoods on, standing next to the Republicans, the one who took their hood off.
Moving forward to get over it and to become the greatest nation on the earth. My belief is that he wants to look at these museums, not because he wants to do away with the idea that slavery occurred, but that he wants to ask a very simple question. Are we going to present ourselves as being exceptional or not? And I think he believes there is an effort by some to continue to try to define us from our worst moment instead of to try to focus and define us based on our best moments, which started when we eradicated slavery and began to move forward as the light of the world. And so that's what I.
So basically, to make America look like the greatest nation in the world, we're gonna lie about our history. White boy, go to hell. That's basically what he's saying. Hey, we're gonna lie about our history to make America seem like we're progressive, to make America look like we're better than what our past was. Yeah, we had something that they were talking about, something like some slavery, but not no real slavery, because you can look in our history books, it don't even exist. If you want to be a real one, tell the whole story. You want to be a real one? You want to be the greatest nation in the world? Tell the whole story. Tell the whole story if you really want to be if you really want to be a great nation, damn it, be better. End the system of white supremacy and move forward with something. Oh man, that's not logical. That's not happening. Nobody give a damn about no great. You want to be a great nation in the eyes of others while hiding your secrets. We're gonna hide all our secrets. We're gonna sweep all the bull under the rug. You see how clean the house is? Don't worry about what that smell is. But see how clean the house is? You told us to clean the house. See how clean the house is? No, it don't smell like death in here. It don't smell like slavery in here. It don't smell like 400, 500 years of oppression in here. That's not what it smelled like. It smelled like, no, we had a barbecue last week. Jeffrey Dahmer was here. You know what I'm saying? White people, man, y'all go to hell, man. Go to hell, white boy. Hell no. We know, come on, K and Q, we know he would. We know that. But you got to remember though, K and Q, you got to remember, we are a group of people who choose to continue to fight ourselves and remain powerless. Just saying, right? America, the great liars, right? In other words, let's portray America as the hero. Homelander. The character Homelander from The Boys. America is Homelander. Point blank, period. I guarantee when that character was created in the image of America, Homelander. That's exactly what the United States of America is. Homelander. I'ma do all type of crimes. I'm gonna be all type of terroristic. But paint me in the good light when the camera come on. You know what I'm saying? I'm a good person. I kiss babies and stuff. Even though, you know, I do bad stuff to their mothers. If you don't know who Homelander is, it's a series on Amazon Prime called The Boys. It was a superhero series, and the superheroes were all the villains and the criminals. But in the cameras, in front of the cameras, they were the superheroes. But behind the cameras, they were the actual villains and stuff. That's what America is, Homelander. History's devil race is still doing the things it took to put them on top. They have to. If they don't, right. They're gonna, if they terrorize to stay on top, they're gonna terrorize. If they terrorize to get on top, they're gonna terrorize to stay on top. Respectfully, family, teachers, police, adults, this is what they want to teach kids. Don't budge. You see and grow up as an empathy, philosophical, peaceful. Yep. That's what, you know, that we had one of our Friday breakdowns 2 weeks ago, and I'm so glad PC brought it up. Shout out to PC, shout out to Pat, man, the real ones, right? But PC talked about when somebody referred to him as a warrior scholar. Don't refer to me as no warrior scholar. We ain't fighting nothing for real. I'm either going to be a warrior or a scholar. Now, real warrior scholars have existed, but we ain't really fighting nothing. Let's not go with the romanticism of it. We're not doing that. All right. MLO, I like that. Instead of make us great again, how about make us whole again? There you go. Let us be able to actually self-actualize like real human beings should. But he will not erase or sanitize Holland. He won't, because they already know. You're still dealing with a group of people who have power versus black people in America who have no power. Always be in fear of the adults. Let them do what they do. Homelander, get back or out. Hey, man. When your actions were so terrible historically that you feel your kids may feel guilt if they know about it. That, my guy, McFly, on point. Like people in New Orleans say, you on pernt. You on pernt there. You hear me? You straight on pernt there. All of those hero supervillains on The Boys were represented. Yep, of the media and America. The media in America, they are terroristic villains. He was supposed to be saving the people in the plane, drugged up, malignant narcissist. That's what America is. So, all right, enough of this. So remember, remove the history. If you remove the history, now we can rewrite the history. So this is where punk ass Nick Fuentes comes in and trying to tell us what we need to be doing as black people to be better. So let me share my screen so we can get into it. And Nick Fuentes can go to hell too.
William Nina sent $10.
Maybe I can find a
I don't understand
girlfriend.
how people can support or be indifferent
That's
to
a
diversity.
joke.
I see so many videos on X and Insta of diversity attacking white people. I see constant headlines of white people being attacked / killed / raped. And it truly enrages me that people are blind to this or just don't care. Sad world.
It is crazy. But that's when you realize how powerful the psychological manipulation is and how stupid people are. It reminds me of like the age of consent thing. These are the dumbest people in the world.
Listen to this boy. Emphasis on boy. Listen to what this boy is about to say. Hold on. Yeah, he is. Amina. Nick Fuentes can go to hell. Nick Fuentes is the stuff that get found at the bottom of toilets after people eat Mexican food. Jay, no, I know it's a lot off topic, but you know what is disgrace to our ancestors is now they call the slave dungeons slave castles. Yes. They are not castles. Sarah, you're right. They are not castles. They are dungeons. You're right. Some people prefer Nick as the white. Man, and he might be Mexican, but that ain't got nothing. He's still white. He's still white. He's still white. He's still racially white. Still racially white. They people keep forgetting that the Spanish are Europeans. They white. And Amina, he's a little boy who found at the bottom of a toilet after somebody eats Mexican food. So his own people shitting on him. There you go. So let's listen to what this little boy is about to say, because he's showing how weird he is already.
Where somebody will say something like, oh, 17-year-old and a 23-year-old, that's pedophilia. And you go, no, it's obviously not. And they go, yeah, it is. The legal age is 18. Just because I had that on the mind after that other super chat. That's how powerful the super ego, like psychological conditioning of people is. If something doesn't make sense, they side with the heuristic.
I don't know about Nick Fuentes, and I don't know about them other white supremacists. Maybe that's a white supremacist thing. But when I was 23, I was not looking at no 17-year-olds. Do you realize a 23-year-old has graduated from college? No, let's put that in perspective, right? Because I have to do this for people too damn much. I had to do this for people too damn much over these past 15 years. Let's put this into perspective. The average college graduate is 21, 22 years old. The average college graduate is 21, 22. I graduate college at 21 years old. 2 years out of college, and I have eyes for a 17-year-old? Hell no. An 11th, maybe 12th grader, and I'm 2 years out of college? Hey man, these white supremacists, these suspected white supremacists, or these flat out white supremacists, they different. Nick Fuentes, you want something different. He is a little boy though. Nick is a little boy. So I'm just saying, starting out with that. So this person, this dude right here is the dude who's supposed to be wagging his finger at black people. But remember, it's about the rewriting of the narrative, because it started off, the comment started off with talking about how white people are trying to say that they're sick of the crime that black people are committing amongst them, which is bullshit. It's bull. Most of the crime that is committed against white people are by white people. Everybody knows that. Proximity crimes. The overall crime rate for black America has risen over the years, and it has recently overtaken the crime rate of white America, because white men historically have committed way more crimes than anybody else in this country. Just of recently, within the last maybe 4 or 5 years, the crime rate of black Americans, especially black men, has risen above white men. But historically, white men have been and will always be the true criminals in this country. But what's their excuse? Because we're under the system of white supremacy. So what's their excuse? Other than just being terrorists.
It doesn't matter how many times you see black people crashing out in the store, speeding down the shoulder on the highway in traffic, how many times you see them kill or steal on the nightly news. The media says, no, that's just a stereotype. And people go, that's just a stereotype.
No matter how many times you see white men shooting up schools, no matter how many times you see white men shooting up public places, no matter how many times you see white men blowing up people and things in public places, you're like, no, that's just a stereotype. Because that can't actually be that is the behavior of white men. That's the actual behavior of white men. Yeah. Yeah. Because this little boy is trying to frame it as the behavior of a few black people is the behavior of all black people. Because Nick Fuentes would be the main one if this was about his people to try to say that's not all of us. Every group of people have degenerates, every group. And Nick Fuentes is a part of the degenerate group of white people. That's why he out here talking like this. Real white people don't respect him. Nick Fuentes is a frontline soldier in the race war, and he's expendable, and he's too stupid to realize it. But he will in the end. They'll give him some crumbs to go out and do their dirty work. Nick Fuentes is the equivalent. Nick Fuentes is a white supremacist janitor. That's what he is. He's a janitor for the white supremacists. His job is to go out and clean up the messes that his real daddies and his real bosses tell him to do. The real white people that he cowers down to. Because they not out here saying this stuff right here. But he is, because the little boy feels emboldened. The little boy feeling himself, and he on the Rumble platform. When he on Rumble, you know, you can say whatever. And it's also this keyboard warrior mentality. I'm behind these keyboards, I can say whatever. You know. He ain't going to talk about his brethren. I'm just saying, man. The white, look, it's so many examples of white people and white Mexicans doing terroristic stuff. So you know, but back to remember though, they're rewriting the narrative. They're going to take the history and rewrite the narrative.
Type. It's like they look at reality, and when reality comes into conflict with the heuristic, with the rule that they hear on TV from the authority, if these things are in tension, they side with the authority. It's insane. You know? And that's just how stupid people are. And I think that's just how the population is distributed. I think it's always been this way. I think that society is just structured this way, where it's a small percentage of the population that is literate and can think critically. And
see, basically, he's every insult that he could think to throw out about Black America. So we're illiterate, we're crime-ridden, we're lustful, you know, we have no impulse control. All these things this little boy is throwing out. But remember, this is a lot of projection. This is a lot of projection coming from Nick Fuentes. Because this is the group of people we're gonna remember, we just got through talking about we're gonna overlook what we did, but we're gonna concentrate on what y'all doing. We have to overlook the atrocities and the crimes of white people. They must be overlooked. But then we're gonna send out Nick Fuentes to shine the spotlight on what you guys are doing. Because this is a war. This is a war. Black people, we have to understand that. We're still at war. So they're gonna tell us that we are the worst things walking. But look at the path of destruction that white Americans, or white men period, have left historically. It's like the focus on 25-year-old Roger Jackson kicking a 30-year-old disrespectful ass after being assaulted with the beer can supersedes the fact that one of their own adolescents just blasted kids. I'm just saying, there have been some school shootings lately, right? And because the Roger Jackson story is larger than the school shootings. The Roger Jackson story is larger than the school shooting stories. That's the only way Nick's narratives can make sense. He would have to overlook the real USA history. Nick Fuentes, I bet you when Nick Fuentes get around real white people, they be slapping him in the back of his head, pushing him down, talking bad about him. They probably be going in on him when he get around real white people. He a white Mexican, man. They don't really respect him. Come on, man. Look at this little chump, man. If you want to figure out what Nick Fuentes is, next time you take a good boo-boo, go look in the bottom of your toilet. That's where he at. That's where he comes from. Bold and Unchained. What's going on? Chris 8. Prompted by what? White people flip out or snap and go nuts without a catalyst to get provoked. That's true. They are crazy. That's what terrorists do. They were breathing. Who's breathing? And then white people just go off. So yeah.
And can create novel insights and ask and answer questions. Then again, it is a lot of high IQ liberals that think this. So I don't know. But the manipulation is unbelievably powerful for people to not be able to see that. It's just the most, let's just be blunt. It's just better to have white people here than non-white people.
And let me be clear. This was an emotional rant by a little white boy. An emotional rant by a little white boy. So if you want an all white name, hey man, nobody stopped white people from creating
like
that.
It just is.
Nobody stopped white people.
Everyone knows that. We want to live in white neighborhoods.
Do it. Do it. Hey, and remember, the black folk who following y'all are the ones that y'all recruited. The black folk who following y'all recruited them. Those Negroes that y'all gave hope that they can be assimilated with y'all. So y'all take them Negroes. Take the Negroes that you want to assimilate with you. Take the Negroes that you are indoctrinating. Take them with you. Don't try to give them back to us now. But remember, this is just an emotional rant by a little bitch ass. But it all goes into the overall point of erase the history, create the narrative. He's goes along with Jillian Michaels in creating that narrative. Nick doesn't deserve to be a piss stain in my toilet clean too, but you know, before it's clean. Kobe, you wild. Exactly. You don't complain about the Negroes that you created. Don't complain about the Negroes that you empowered. These are the Negroes that you patted on the top of the head and said, come with us. Here they are. Take them with you. Stop complaining, little punk ass.
We feel safer. We know they're smarter. They're just better at stuff.
Yeah, and it's like black people just better at everything than y'all, especially bathing.
That's why our countries are good. That's why theirs are shit. Okay? In Africa, their countries are shit. They're not as smart as us. They're not as developed as us. That's okay. And
remember, he talking about Africa. So when them Africans come over here, them white people be rushing to recruit them Africans to get them a part of their programs to help advance their programs intellectually. Remember that. African countries are shit. Well, it's because of the presence of white people. You know, it's something called colonialism, white supremacy. But you know, that don't exist in Nick's world. When you a bitch, it don't exist in your world. Nick was born to be a bitch. Nick lives as a bitch. And Nick gonna die as a bitch, doing his bitch ass job for white supremacy, who don't give a damn about him because he's another pet. He's not a pure white, and he's another pet. So yeah, it's gonna come crashing down on him real soon, just like it did with Candace Owens.
I hate them for that. I don't think they're inferior.
Yes, you do.
I don't think they're subhuman.
Yes, you do.
They're just not as smart.
Hey,
I don't think Italians are as smart as.
But throwing out all this other stuff, don't nobody give a damn. You said what you said. You don't think black people are as smart, and that's cool because, oh my God, Nick Fuentes don't think black people are smart. But I don't think your mother is smart. I don't think your daddy is smart because they had you. I'm just saying.
As Nordics, We have different kinds of, I think we're maybe more creative, maybe more artistic. I'm Italian, Mexican, and Irish. I don't think Mexicans are that smart.
And so he's trying to cushion the blow with this. So, hey, my people aren't smart. I'm not smart. My people aren't smart. And neither are you. Nah, he's trying to say nobody's smart. Nah. Stop trying to cushion the blow. You think black people are unintelligent. And now you're trying to soften it up. Now you're trying to walk it back a bit. Nah, Nick, you still a bitch.
From Southern Italy. Southern Italians are not as smart as Northern Italians. They're just not. And you understand, I'm saying that it doesn't come from a place of racial superiority or chauvinism. It doesn't come from a place of, it's not malicious, it's not resentful, it's not hateful. It's just, it is what it is. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows deep in their heart of hearts, they're not as smart as us. Black people are not as smart as white people in general. There are some black people that are smarter than some white people, but
people who don't have the wherewithal to wash their ass. People who don't have the wherewithal to wash their ass properly are trying to say who's intelligent and who's not. Nothing in the white world could advance without black people or anything from Africa. The knowledge, the intelligence, the wherewithal, the resources, whether resources from the ground or the human resources, nothing in the white world would exist without Africa. I'm just saying. But we not smart, but that's how they rewrite the narrative though. That's how they rewrite the narrative. They send a low-level white flunky out to say these things. We give him a little money to say this stuff, but he's still a low-level white flunky. We still don't really rock with him like that. That's all I'm saying, T. They won't leave though. You know they won't leave. I'm just saying. They were the real cannibals. But we're not intelligent. Y'all go, white people work overtime to miseducate and undereducate black children, but we're the unintelligent. All right.
But on whole, as a society, the societies there are not as smart. Now, you can debate about why. It's because of nutrition. It's about genetics. It's, you can debate and you can have your opinion. It's really not up for debate, by the way, but feel free to disagree on the causes. But that's just the state of the play. That's why those countries don't work. That's why these countries do. Germany is desirable to live in. It works. Denmark, the Netherlands, Norway, these are the happiest, most developed, most egalitarian, most tolerant, most peaceful. These are the best places to live.
And these places are living off of African natural resources. They're being terroristic. They have a history of slavery. All of these things. Show me a white developed nation that's a superpower that's absent of African resources. That's absent of the benefit from slavery or anything that comes from African people. Show me that white nation. Show it to me. I'm just saying. Yeah, Ice need to come get his punk ass too. Right. I don't even want no tacos no more. Damn you, Nick Fuentes. Back in the day, they would refer to these people as firebrand speakers designed to rile up the bases. But at this point, it's just weak. Yeah. He's just trying to get views and get money now. And no matter what you say, Nick Fuentes, you still not a real white person. White people still don't really respect you. And I know if he saw this, he'll try to dispute that. And he know exactly what I'm saying. The system of white supremacy does not recognize your whiteness. If this was the movie 300, Nick, you would be one of the babies thrown off the cliff because you don't measure up. Eugenics would have took you and your people out too. But all right. All right. Fucking psychos. Appreciate my brother Ian. I appreciate you, man. These white folk think we crazy, man. Like we don't know nothing about nothing. They keep forgetting, man. Y'all the original white men are the original terrorists, the original baby daddies, the original illiterates. Everything negative you can think about black people, black men and white people are the originals.
And it's because of the people. It's because the people create those societies. It's
Exactly.
not because of what colony did Norway have? What vast empire built on slavery did Norway and Finland have?
So you're gonna try to sit here and convince us that Norway and Finland didn't benefit any way, shape, or form from African slave labor? Okay. They ain't benefit no way from African slave labor. That's what, okay, Nick. Okay, Nicholas. But I said it because I said it. I'm Nicholas and man, you's a bitch. Nick woke up that morning and said, how much of a bitch can I be today? I know. I'll go tell black people what they need to do to be better, while at the same time ignoring the terrorism that my people are doing. Matter of fact, Nick, you wouldn't exist if one of your ancestors hadn't colonized and raped your other ancestor. You're a whole ball of confusion. Now I get it.
Did Poland have? They didn't. These countries are better because the people are smarter and it's more desirable. And I understand why people might not want to say that out loud. I understand why it might make people uncomfortable. They might not want to say it in mixed company. I can see how that offends people. It hurts people's feelings. But how can you not just know that that's true? How do you live on this planet and just look around and not just get it? How do you not even deal with them and get it? I mean, when you see these black people fighting in Waffle House, they're dancing at graduation, taking their shoes off, throwing their caps in the air. When you see they don't understand like a...
And see, Nick Fuentes is like a lot of people who be on the internet. They act like they don't see it when it comes from their side. So when white people do that, they don't see it. They only see it when black people do it. Wink, wink. Wink, wink. They only see it when black people do it, because white people don't go to graduations and act a damn fool. White people don't do foolish things. White people are good, upstanding citizens. White people have never committed crimes. White people don't mess with animals or their own family members or eat humans. White people don't commit crimes. White people don't shoot up schools or try to kill police officers or their own family members. You know, white people don't invite the whole town to watch an innocent black man get hung from a tree, then cut his penis off, put it in the jar, and put it in their little daughter room, and she keep the jar with the decomposing penis for her whole life as her souvenir. You know, a Hispanic I once told me that Jesse James said he hated N-words. I told him he also said he killed over 100 men and Mexicans. Don't count. He never spoke. Hey man, they hate the truth. They hate the truth. Yeah, he a degenerate. He a true degenerate. You can tell he don't wash his hands. You can tell Nick don't wash his hands.
A refund policy at an airline. it's like these people, like, and when I say these people, like these particular people that are in those situations, they're just dumb. They're just dumb. They're not smart.
Your mother's dumb.
I don't care what anybody says.
I don't
if
care
you
what
walk
you
into
say.
a Waffle House with your pants around your ankles and you're yelling incoherently and you're throwing your weave off and punching someone in the face and throwing.
So if you walk into the country store and you see Claude and Clarice over there fighting over a chicken, and then you see Jimmy and Jessica over there fighting because they're cousins and they're hunching their other cousins, we ain't gonna act like that happened, right? It's a trick. We're gonna pay attention to what we want to pay attention to. We're gonna sensationalize a small group of black people, a loud minority. We're gonna sensationalize, man, get off my screen, you fucking infidel. Get off my damn screen. But the thing is to sensationalize what happens with black people and hide and rationalize what happened to white people. We're going to humanize white criminals. We're going to put some sense to white crime. But when black people do it, they are animals. Hide the history, change the narrative. 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 And once you change the narrative, it's easier to take them out. It's easier to execute them. I'm just saying, man, white folk act like their record is clean. They crazy, but that's why they go above and beyond to hide the history. If I hide my crimes, if I hide my terrorism, if I hide that, then I can wave my finger at you. I can tell you that you're wrong. You are bad people, bad black people for doing the things you do, black people, even though we do the same things and we've been doing it, we do it worse than you. Claude and Jimmy literally fighting to see who could be the next one to get their cousin pregnant. And we the problem? We're inhumane? White people literally go out and hunt black people. In the comments, I put out a short video the other day about a young man who was jumped by a group of white people and he didn't have nothing to do with it. And in the comments, some white people are saying that it should have happened because it was revenge. They were talking about a black boy getting jumped by a bunch of white boys and basically saying it was them getting their revenge. By the time they get some get back, because you know black people they've created the narrative that black people have been harming them forever. So it was their chance to have some get back on black people. Professor Carl Tone Jones has been telling us a long time that this is a war that we're in. But he didn't make that up. It's been said before that. We are at war. Real white supremacists are out here. Hide the history, change the narrative. Hide the history, change the narrative. That's what they're doing. My comment about Pablo the Money and the Farmer was to highlight the total lack of it. Yep, I know. White people ain't as smart as they say they are. Yep. If I can hide my inadequacies, if I can get people to look at your inadequacies and not look at mine, then I'm not the villain. You are. You the villain. You the criminal. You the murderer. You the one who be doing all the crazy stuff, not me. It's not us white people, it's you black people. Look at your history. Nothing happened to you in this country. You have nothing to complain about that happened to you in this country. You were voluntary, what they call them, voluntary slaves. You were voluntary work, voluntary labor. Nothing happened to you in this country, and look how you behave. Why do you behave in such a manner when nothing happened to you? Look at everybody else. You came in this country the same as everybody else. Why do you behave the way you behave? You haven't built anything. Hide the history, change the narrative. So Donald Trump, you can go to hell. Jillian Michaels, you can go to hell. Nick Fuentes, you can choke on the sword. And all others from the right and the left who support white supremacy, pull your bottom lips over your head and swallow. So I ain't gonna continue beating this dead horse, but you already get it. Hide the history, change the narrative. Right. Bold and Unchained, I appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you. Battle Genja, as always. Chris Moe, one time for you. Kobe, I appreciate you, my brother. Amina Muhammad, thank you. Ricardo, thank you for tuning in, my brother. Ian 392, shout out to you, my brother. Thank you for tuning in. And Mrs. X, the OG of the channel, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Did I say Chris Moe? Okay, so Chris Moe. T-Wo, thank you for tuning in. You know, I got to give my shout outs. I love you all. Enigma, shout out. Thank you for the comment. Sarah, thank you for the comment. Sarah Kerwin. That guy MC Fly. Thank you. James Brown. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. M Low, thank you for tuning in. K and Q, thank you for tuning in. Ricardo Float, thank you for tuning in. I'm glad you was able to catch this live. Thank you. King Capito, thank you. Who else? Godzilla Megatron. We don't agree on everything, but I appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you commenting. MA, thank you for tuning in. Tim, we don't agree. We didn't agree, but thank you for tuning in. Thank you for commenting. Feel how you feel. We still gonna disagree, but as long as we do it respectfully. Prentice Tate, thank you for tuning in. Who else? I don't want to forget nobody because y'all didn't have to be here. Jason Reels Network, thank you. Nubian Messiah, thank you for tuning in. Goddess Yemen, y'all. Thank you, my goddess. Who else we got? That was up in the house today. N1. I appreciate you, N1. Even though whatever, but you still left a comment. That helps. That helps the algorithm. Ioma 7ABCD, thank you for your comment. King African, Boundless, appreciate y'all. Who else? That was it, man. Hey, man, welcome everybody. Happy Sunday. Make sure you hit that like button. Thank y'all for tuning in to On the Shoulders of Giants, this live. Y'all know how we do what we do when we do what we do, man. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. This is Sunday's last day of the month, Sunday, August 31st. Make sure y'all have a safe day. Relax, get some relaxation today and tomorrow. You know, it's holidays. And I'm gonna be back tomorrow. Live at 11 p.m. 11 a.m. 11 in the morning. I'm going back live 11 a.m. Make sure y'all tune in, check me out. And then also make sure you check out my book reading. You remember we're reading Frantz Fanon's Black Skin, White Mask. Make sure you check that out at 1 p.m. At 11 a.m. I'm going live. Thank you to everybody. And a big shout out to Professor Carlton Jones, Patrick Irvin. Big shout out to the brother Q Butter and the Zyx Institute. Thank you for being a guest on the show last week. And upcoming next Saturday, I will be interviewing the brother Bruce Strobel, who is Dr. Bruce Strobel, who is an advocate fighting for environmental justice. So we're gonna get into that, talking about environmental justice. He has written a new book by by any means necessary, by any dreams necessary. By any dreams necessary is his book. So we're gonna be discussing his book, his work, and everything that he got going on. So y'all make sure y'all tune in next Saturday. But also tune in tomorrow, Monday, for the book reading and the live show going on at 11, because we're talking about more scammers. We got what's the name of the dude? What's the name of the guy? He a bunny hopper. I'm gonna find his name. He was scamming with the white lady. They were scamming the church with the white lady. Tommy, I think his name is Tommy. Oh, I got it right here. I'm tripping. I got it right here. It is David E. Taylor and Michelle Brandon. David E. Taylor. So last week, we've been talking about black conscious scammers. But now we just talk about scammers, period. The black conscious community ain't the only one being scammed. Black people being scammed all across the spectrum. So we got to be better. We got to be better. We got to be smarter. We got to be better. I love you all. Y'all have a great Sunday. Peace out. Be the best version of yourself no matter what.